HTB family, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball. Hope you guys are well. Thanks again for tuning in. Yes, this is an episode here of NZ Warriors Chat. This time, I suppose Cameron George in his recent interview with Martin Devlin would be perhaps assessed under the microscope. But before I do some assessing, DJ, where are you? Alright guys, here we go. Right, I'm going to be basically reading out the quotes and sort of, I guess, trying to understand them, right, quote by quote, giving my own opinion on what he's sort of stating from my own experience as well, being a fan of the club. And at the same time as well, this is also not just about Cameron George, but I suppose the club as a whole, and obviously everything that's happened to him, right up to this point here, with Reece Walsh as well, right? So basically there was an interview, right? And it goes like this. The last time you spoke, you talked about positivity and all the great things that were going on within the club that were going to happen within the club, right? And we all know Cameron George has spoke about that. He has to, he's the CEO. Does he have to? Yes, he does. You can't be selling rocks and rocks and rocks. You got to sell a bit of diamonds. Even if the diamonds aren't really sparkling, you just got to sell them, right? But then at the same time, in the Warriors, I suppose, context, we're only producing rocks. So if you're selling diamonds, and again, the diamonds aren't really that sparkly, they're still diamonds, but they're not sparkly, there's going to be a lot of questions, right? There's going to be a lot of assessing as to whether these diamonds are even worth anything. So again, going back to what Devlin said, it's a valid point. And he also carries on to say, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck left because the club is going nowhere, and the success that he was promised and the recruiting he was promised never happened. Well, this point here, look, I guess to answer this from my own personal opinion, I do believe Roger Tuivasa-Sheck was given that leave. And again, I don't know the backstory, but, he carried the club for quite some time. It's been for an absolute, a horrid ride with him, since he's been back, and obviously he's gone now, but you get my point. Obviously, Devlin won it too, as well as in 2018. But, obviously the Warriors understood where he wanted to go, and so they left him. This was not even about any promises, like, it wasn't. And then for those of you who think it was about promises and Roger left due to the club being so poor, let me know. But I'm pretty sure he left because, well, COVID, and it just made more sense, especially for him, trying to chase the other code, rugby, rugby. Another sort of quote too was, Matt Lodge is now turning around. He has the fourth different excuse in as many weeks as to why he's leaving. Look, my opinion on Matt Lodge and that Mark Robinson incident is as simple as this. Whatever happened, and it's now done. Right, there's no point, and I'm only saying this from experience, there's no point sort of throwing arrows at the owner or throwing arrows at Matt Lodge. Matt Lodge is now going to be suiting up for the Roosters next week by all reports. Mark Robinson is looking for a coach and all that jazz, which I'll get onto in another video as well, so don't you worry, they'll be spoiling you guys again very soon. Devlin went on to ask, in another part of the article, Devlin went on to ask why the Warriors' best players were leaving, while players at rival clubs are happy to remain. It seems that your best players don't want to stay, and I'm just wondering, the perception out there at the moment is that the owner has lost the plot with his club, that is going nowhere, that it is in a terrible state. Look, you may sort of wonder that, what sort of led him to say that, but look, to be fair, you don't need to look around too far, do you? Look, the reality is what Martin Devlin has said would either not necessarily motivate you, but probably encourage you to have a deeper look into the club, or the other flip of the coin really is make you upset at Matt Devlin, and in that sense there, obviously making you defend Cameron George and everything else like that. There's two ways to approach this thing, and neither one is wrong, but obviously at the same time, I guess it pays to be open to actually hear these other questions and not be so defensive. Now, obviously I can sit here and defend this club till I'm black and blue in the face, and I do that quite a lot, believe me, with tears in my bloody eyes. But at the same time, we got to understand when these questions are being thrown, put yourself in Martin Devlin's position, right? Asking these questions, realizing that, hey, he may have a point here. Now, the question he asks is, obviously, not asked, but just states that, it seems your best players don't want to stay, and just wanting the perception out there, the club at the moment, Basically, long story short, is that owners lost the plot, and that the club's going nowhere, it's in a bad state. Look, there's not too much to really. What do you want me to say? You got Matt Lodge, UNA, Kishinara Tavita, and obviously recently Reece Walsh. Now, in saying that, obviously we got to realize that 4 of those, or apart from Matt Lodge, all 3 of those other reasons are valid reasons, right? And of course, family and all that jazz. But again, begs the question: if the Warriors were doing well, if the Warriors were punching well above their weight, if we were right there in the top 4, with an actual genuine shot at the premiership, would this have been an issue? I don't know, but again, we'll never know. We'll never know. Maybe if we were doing well, I don't know. Obviously, I'm taking out family out of the context here, but Martin Devlin goes on to say as well, you're 1 loss away from the wooden spoon, which is going to happen against the Melbourne Storm in a couple of weeks. First of all, don't say that, Martin Devlin. You don't know what's going to happen. Yes, I'm not saying we're going to win that game, but to say we're going to have the wooden spoon, come on. Calm down, buddy. It is about time that the owner, yourself, looked at maybe reselling the club and maybe handing it over to someone that actually has some direction and has a future for the club, other than losing all its best players and riding a wave of emotion coming back to Mount Smart. Now, that right there, guys, was the mic drop. All right? Imagine this mic, bang, just dropped it. It's a very strong statement that he finished off with there, and obviously Cameron George replies, and he has every right to. But what he just said there, some of us have been thinking that. I'm not going to say I have. I'm not going to say you have. I'm just going to say some of us. All right? And I'll just leave it there. Some of us have. To be fair with you, is it a valid point to make, or is it even a valid sort of a proposition to think about? Reselling the club. What does that look like? What does that even mean? The fact that the reality is, whether you like it or not, at the start of the season, Matt Lodge, Reece Walsh were playing for us, right? I'm not saying they're the marquee key players, but you get my point. Yeah, you do. And obviously, before the season started, there was an aim for top 8. We're now, obviously we beat the Tigers, so we sort of lift up a little bit, but we are nowhere near the target. All right, we are nowhere near the target. And again, it's just, yeah. When you still look at the table, it means nothing. It is still a losing season again. I touched on that. And Cameron George goes on to say, not at all, I disagree with you. These situations will occur not only at the club, not only at our club, but at any club. Yes, no. The Warriors are a very unique club. I don't need to carry on, do I? Obviously, the only club from New Zealand. All 15 clubs, soon to be 16 clubs next year, all from Australia, right? I don't know. They don't seem to be... they don't seem to be occurring at any other club, though, Cameron. None of the star players from the other clubs are wanting out. You asked Adam or Blake now, and he was allowed to answer honestly. Would he want to stay for another few years, or is he going to go be the next one? Basically, is Adam or Blake going to be the next one? Valid point. For me, it's not about looking at this with my pitchfork as much as it is looking at this with my binoculars, trying to assess this. And yeah, you may think this video is pointless, to be fair with you, but I think this video here is just trying to examine my point, from this, this is the CEO of my club, right? He's the CEO of my club. George went on to explain that personal circumstances are the reason behind Walsh leaving. The last couple of years I've done my absolute best to hold the club together, and I'm very excited about what we're looking to do over the next couple of years. We've got really good plans, and we're really focused on getting home and executing those. You'll see a big difference once you see stability back in our club. I'm passionate, committed. I work day and night trying to work out how we can get better. I love the club with all my heart, and I just want to see it succeed. Yeah. Cameron George there with the, I suppose, not the stock standard, but a very passionate, standard reply of any CEO of the club, right? Any club. Look, I know Cameron George means well. The reality is, I suppose after this here, it definitely brings a lot of questions, but at the same time, like I said, don't be too defensive though. Don't be too, like I said, up in arms with Martin Devlin here. He asked valid questions. He made valid statements. Like I said, the only basic fact, the only real evidence here that goes with everything this interview is about is the Warriors' results, and it hasn't been great. That's all you can sort of rest this on, all right? That's all you can rest it on. And obviously Cameron George sort of goes around talking about next year, and basically, next year will be a good year and all that stuff there, and just leaves it at that. I guess, guys, yeah, that's my look. My general thoughts of it is, it was a tough segment there to really try and I don't even know. It was just a tough segment, full stop. Yeah, the reality is Cameron George under pressure? I think he is. I suppose being away from New Zealand has probably given him a bit of leverage, but the reality is, and I suppose Martin Devlin was alluding to it, is push comes to shove, not only, not this year probably, but definitely next year. And again, I'm not, yeah, it's a lot here to dissect, but I'm hoping I just gave you guys my little bit there. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that there for you guys. Yeah, there was an interesting interview though, by the way. You could see a lot of passion there, and from both blokes. Yeah, like I said, it's not a time for me to sort of throw things away and say Mr. Devlin's viewpoints and statements are dumb. Not at the same time as time for me to sort of think that Cameron George is not right to be CEO. It was just two people from two differing opinions, basically walking down the same narrow road, and they're so open to meet, and they clashed, and that's the reality. But unfortunately, like I said, the Warriors results give everyone else a leverage who isn't a Warriors fan. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Give me your thoughts. Take it easy. See you guys next time. And yes, I've got more videos coming up very, very soon. Your sport. Goodness me. Hold the ball.